Hi, it's time for another episode of Nick's Nerd Network. We're going to be doing part 3 of our discussion about racism. So, my friend John's going to be back, and he's going to be talking to us about racism within the gay community and other less commonly known forms of racism. So, let's get started. So, I've heard the term colorblindness used before. What does that mean?
So when people say they're colorblind, it means that they are trying to be kind of good about race and racism by claiming that they can't see race at all and they never notice it. And often that comes with good intentions, but really bad results. Because often when people say, I don't see race, what they actually mean is, I won't recognize racism and I won't recognize how your experience has been shaped by racism. So if you, okay, we live in Columbus. If you drove from Worthington, which is quite a nice suburb and majority white, to Linden, which is a very poor and rundown neighborhood that is majority black, and you said, I don't see race, then that would prevent you from noticing the different conditions in which these different groups are made to live, and the different educational and healthcare and employment and transportation opportunities that these groups have. Or even, for example, if you're a teacher and you say, oh, well, like, I don't think about race, I don't notice the different races of my students, well, the education that your students have had up to this point and the things your students experience in your classroom are affected by race and racism. So like, for example, once in class, I was teaching about race and gender in the media and played a clip from Key and Peele, and this clip was about police violence. And one of the students who was African American said to me afterward, like, look, I know what you were trying to show with that clip, but it was actually really upsetting for me to be in a classroom full of mostly white students who were laughing at this skit about black people getting shot by police. And that completely made sense to me, and that's a really strong example of how our students' experiences of racism are important, and saying that you're colorblind doesn't actually address issues, it just hides those issues. And the last thing I would add about colorblindness is that I don't think any person in this society can escape absorbing ideas about race. So when you say that you're colorblind, you're not really preventing yourself from noticing these ideas or from experiencing stereotypes. You're just not acknowledging it to yourself, which I think makes it even more likely that you would treat people badly by accident because you haven't recognized how race actually is affecting how you speak and act.
And I really liked what you said in terms of like recognizing race and like referring to teachers, because in today's political climate, when we're hearing a lot of banter from other people that are saying like negative things about people who are Hispanic or people who are Muslim, and if we have those kinds of students in our classrooms or those kinds of friends or those kinds of coworkers that are hearing these horrible things and it's going to affect them personally, it's important for us to recognize our differences in people and also be able to recognize like, okay, I heard this in the news, this person seems really, really down, this might be affecting them in some way. Is there a way that I can help be a resource for them or direct them to the right kind of resource?
Absolutely.
So let's also talk about racism in the gay community, because I think it's a very common thing to assume that because we're part of like the gay community, the LGBTQA community is a part of this minority group, that we are also always cool and we're always understanding and accepting of other minority groups. And I would say probably one of the biggest examples that I could say that I have seen, or I can't say that I've experienced, but I've seen, is on dating apps where people will put discriminatory messages where they see it as a preference, like saying, oh, well, I don't want anyone who is black, feminine, Asian, fat, like those kinds of discriminatory comments out there. They see it as a preference, but in a way, they're devaluing that person. They're saying that if you are any of these people, then you're not worth my time or me talking to.
Yeah, so definitely racism exists in the LGBT community. Unfortunately, being fabulous in your fashion sense does not make you fabulous in the way that you treat other people. And more broadly, being a member of any minority does not like vaccinate you against being hateful to other people. So whatever minority communities you are a part of, I really encourage you to think, how can I use my experiences with discrimination to empathize with other people's? Like if you're a gay white person, how can you use your experiences with homophobia to empathize with the kind of difference and exclusion that a person of color might experience, or vice versa? And definitely in terms of the dating apps, I think when people say, oh, this is just my preference, it would be a preference if you just thought it in your head and like didn't answer people that you didn't want to chat with. But when on your profile you write these things, what you're actually doing is feeding a nasty environment for the other people on this app. You are signaling to the other people on this app or this site, you are not welcome here. And it means that if you are like a fat person or a feminine person or an Asian person or a black person who is going through this app, it means every time you open the app, you have to like brace yourself to know that just while you're scrolling through, you're going to see hateful things about yourself. So if you don't want to date blank, 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 great, don't date them, but there's no need to say that on your site or your page, and you're actually harming people by doing that.
All right, well, that's really all we had for today. Thank you so much again for coming in, John. And if you haven't already, please check out his book. There's a link in the description to an interview about his book, You Be You. Please check it out. It's a great book and a great resource. And that's all for today's episode. Have a great night, guys. Bye. Hi, if you like this episode of Nixter Network, please like and subscribe, or visit our new channel. And when you're on the new channel, check out my new banner. That was made by my friend Jesse. Please check out his website. He's really talented, and I'll leave the link in the description. He's great for all of your graphic design needs.